Alex here actually deals a lot with those. And we can take all of these different pieces and we can actually piece together what is called a microgrid when we get to even a neighborhood level, you know, even smaller than Durango, okay? So maybe the homes that we have need power, and they can also bring power back. Windmills can give us power. If the wind doesn't blow, hopefully it did earlier, and we stored some of that power in some batteries, okay? Solar panels can also store in batteries. These things called inverters allow us to dump power back out from those batteries. We can also have these other quote-unquote clean types of energy out there too, geothermal plants and solar thermal plants, okay? We can talk more about those if we have time. And then finally, we see our electric school bus, okay? Basically a giant battery on wheels, all right? So, yeah, the party bus, exactly. So now if we want to put this together, we have Alex talk a little bit about this whole microgrid idea and where that bus might fit.
Okay, so do you guys, so in this microgrid, right, so here's our big transmission lines, right? This is where our big power plants, our geothermal, our wind and solar farms all go to this transmission line. This transmission normally comes in, feeds the houses. So with a microgrid, right, now we have solar on our rooftops, right? Solar right outside here. We got battery storage, so in the daytime, you know how we had those extra bars of green? Instead of those just going back to the grid, we'll just fill up batteries for later at night. Instead of burning coal, we can use battery energy. And then we got smart inverters that will tell the batteries kind of when to dispatch, right? And then it'll feed, you know, your houses, your hospitals, your airports, anything else that uses electricity. So if we're talking about the electrical school bus, would that go on our big grid, or would that be part of the microgrid?
Micro.
And where do you think it would?
It's a battery.
Well, I think battery, or maybe then they'd have to have a smart inverter. Yeah.
True. Yeah, super smart. Yeah.
Both of them probably.
Yeah. So when the bus is bringing maybe you to school or to home or wherever, okay, maybe it's cruising around here, okay, and then when we actually want it to help out with our grid by dumping extra electricity in, we plug it in, and that's where the inverters come in. So then it could basically just be a battery.
Yeah. A giant rolling battery.
Exactly.
That's exactly how we treat it. Yeah,
Yep.
good job. Really good
faster.
job.
Yep. Hopefully not. But same with your, did you say you have an electric vehicle at
I
home?
have an electric truck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
basically-
hopefully along the way, as people get more and more electric vehicles, they're all just batteries on wheels. We can help out the entire grid and neighborhood by dumping excess power in when we need it, and then we can charge up our vehicles when it's a cheap time of day to do it. Yeah.
It's basically just using solar power, batteries, and power plants. Some more of those things.
Yeah.
They're kind of all connected.
They are, aren't they? Yeah. And so remember what I was asking you about when the sun doesn't shine and when the wind doesn't blow?
They connect.
We can store
You can
the
use
power from
other
those.
resources if the other one doesn't work.
Yes. Very good. Then we fill in the gaps with a lot of times the
It's kinda
fossil
like a
fuel
big
one.
puzzle.
What's that?
It's kind of like a big puzzle.
It really is. Yep. And there are people's jobs that get to figure out that puzzle every day and night. And finally, this little breakdown of how the bus goes about its normal day. Have any of you gotten a chance to ride the electric bus? Or seen it around?
I've seen it at the rec center.
You've seen it at the rec center, yeah?
Yeah, it goes to the rec center.
Okay.
I think it's JC one.
Yeah.
I've never gone on a bus.
Haven't?
Except for field trips. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Alex is going to take us through a day in the life of the bus.
A day in the life of the bus, right? So hey, right here is midnight, right? So right now, the bus is fully charged, okay? You see this little section here? This is 6 to 9 a.m. They're out picking you guys up, taking you to school, right? What happens to the battery when we're driving it?
It starts running.
Yeah, really good job, right? So as you can see here, this state of charge, or how much percentage of battery life we have, drops down to about 60% here, okay? So after we get back from the bus, after it drops you guys off, it's going to go back to the bus barn, right? And we have our smart inverter there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to need to charge it up, right? With all the sweet solar power and green electricity that we have going on in the day. So right now, it's recharging. What do we want to recharge it to?
100%.
Cool, good job, guys. Good job, right? So now we're gonna recharge it, okay, here, and then
The end of the drain.
yeah, right. What do we got to do? Then we have to go drop everyone back off at school, right? Or I mean, go drop everyone back off at home. So it's gonna come pick you guys up, right? And then what's happened when it's picking you guys up? Its state of charge is doing what? Right? It's going down. It's losing power in the bus, right? So that's where we see it losing power. Yeah, yeah, it goes around to like looks like 25%, right?
Ooh.
And then so now here, we're not going to have it charged because this is during our peak period. So this is when energy costs a lot extra, just due to the fact that everyone's getting home, turning their lights on. So that's when energy costs the most. So we try to make it cost the most so people use the least of it, okay? And then normally, so say we got some more power in this bus, and we think that we're going to use the most amount of energy for the month, we're going to discharge the battery of the bus to the grid, right? So like Kevin was saying, when the lights go off or when the sun goes behind the clouds and there's no solar power, we're going to use the bus's battery to help power this building, a bunch of other buildings. And then we're going to see once it discharges, we're going to go back up, charge back to 100% so it can do the same exact thing in the morning, right? Come pick you guys up, discharge the battery, and then refill.
So at the end of the, or during the peak time period, that 7 to 9 p.m. when everybody has their lights on, they're watching TV and they're cooking and all that stuff, that's when you're actually going to let all of the electric buses discharge, like all the rest of whatever 25% they have is going to go into the grid.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we don't have to
And
bring
then
that.
they go to 0, and then they, over the course of the night, they charge all the way back up to 100%. So they become the alternative to fossil fuels at that time.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, yeah. And that's my job, is to kind of call that 30-minute window peak. So there's like 2-hour, 30-minute window where we use the most energy, and that's what I try to dispatch the bus against. So it's pretty cool.
Yep.
So this group, and I don't mean to
No,
stop
yeah,
you,
you're good.
but
Go for
this
it.
group was involved in writing a letter
Yes,
to help LPEA get some more buses, just like this.
Thank you guys for doing
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
It really was.
Yes, you were involved. You
Yeah,
helped.
thank you for that.
You helped me figure out what to put in the letter. And the letter was really about whether or not the new buses were going to be natural gas or electric. Now, what did we decide we wanted to put in the letter?
Electric.
Why did we decide on electric, Camille?
We decided because it could help the grid, and also because it makes less, it doesn't have as much fumes and it's not as loud. Cause I've heard it, it just makes a slight whirring noise instead of
Yep.
that. So it's more quiet.
You're exactly right. Correct. Yeah. Better air quality, so you're not breathing the smoke and the exhaust. Yeah. Propane's cleaner than diesel, but still, yeah, the electric is definitely cleaner than the propane, right? The other thing, though, it's crazy to think about is there's a lot less moving parts on an electric vehicle or bus, too. And a lot less oil, a lot less other things that are involved in the engine and making it go around. So not only do you improve the air quality, but has anyone ever seen oil spots on the ground?
Yeah.
What happens when it rains? It might
Yeah.
wash into the river. Yeah, so I mean, you have a lot less pollution all around from an electric bus or vehicle compared to the gas or diesel ones that we drive most days. So
Yeah.
So I have to note this because it hasn't been mentioned. So yes, the fumes that come out of the back of our normal school buses, they're bad for the air quality, right? So, that's why we want them to shut off the buses while they're sitting out
no,
here,
and not idling. Yeah.
right? But the other thing is that those fumes that are coming out of the back of that bus and what's coming out of the back of my internal combustion engine, and maybe some of you guys, your parents have some cars that are not electric, that gas is called nitrous oxide. And
And it goes
that
up and hurts the ozone.
close.
Or not the ozone.
It
The atmosphere.
contributes to the
Greenhouse.
carbon, and it's part of the greenhouse gas mixture that's in our atmosphere that's causing stop the warming of our planet.
Yeah, that nitrogen oxide can give people asthma.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the ozone. You know, you are not far off. So
She's
I
not
think
far
what
off.
you're thinking is the ozone layer that actually protects us against harmful UV rays. It's
Yeah.
way up in our atmosphere. Okay, that's hurt by different things. You are correct about is it's making ozone around us, which is actually not a good thing to breathe. You want ozone to be where it's supposed to be, way up there, not right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not exactly.
Yep. So that's a little nuance there, but yeah. So and also along those lines, I think we wanted to, if you guys want, we wanted to look at this slide a little bit more about pros and cons of some of our energy sources. Okay. Yes.
3 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you. Same kind of thing as what we were talking about with the buses are those emissions and things from burning fossil fuels here too. Okay. So the other thing to consider is that there's an awful lot that goes into finding those fuels. We got to mine them, refine them.
You gotta go now?
Get
Okay,
them
grab your
ready
stuff.
to be burned and used. Okay. Let's keep in mind what are some downsides to hydropower here? Anybody? What happens to the river that we're stopped from to generate electricity from? Yeah, in a second. Yes.
So what happens to the rivers, like this happens with the Grand Canyon, because I go there every year.
Oh, okay.
So there's a dam on the Colorado River, and so then only a little bit of the water can trickle into the Grand Canyon because it's like it's taking some of the water, it's also using that hydropower, I think.
Yep.
And so then, but then if you're like, okay, we gotta save like Grand Canyon, you unleash it, like it's gonna wreck everything.
It could, yeah, that's a very good point. So basically, I want to do this last demo because it is really cool, but we could spend a long time on what's good and what's bad about each one of these, okay? So without getting into the actual physics of this,
You guys want to come hang out
yeah,
over
this
here
is
real quick?
really
Go
cool.
look and see what they got.
So